Hey, it's Chris. I've been testing out both the AirPods version 3 and AirPods Pro version 2 since both were released, and I have some feedback. So let's start with the design and comfort. You've got the AirPods 3, which offer a semi-in-ear design without silicone tips, versus the AirPods Pro 2 with their actual in-ear design with multiple silicone ear tip sizes to choose from for a more comfortable fit. Now, in terms of design, they both feature that iconic AirPods look that people have come to expect with the shorter stem, so people are gonna know you're not living in the past like a dinosaur. You don't have that huge long stem, but the comfort factor isn't quite as straightforward as you might think, whether you have the silicone tips or not. If I can put it like this, the regular AirPods feel like I almost have nothing in my ear. They're air light. You know, you barely notice them. Whereas I feel like I can definitely notice the AirPods Pro 2 in the ear a little bit more, and it's because of that fit that necessarily helps give things like the bass a boost. Now, everything's a bit of a trade-off here. Some people have the regular AirPods fall out of their ears, and they have to get the silicone tips with the Pros just for that fit, just to get something that sticks. And for other people, that's completely flipped around, and one is comfortable and one isn't. So ear shapes aside, what I will say is, personally, from my own subjective experience, I do feel like the regular AirPods 3 here are more comfortable in my ears. Just lighter, less intrusive, let's say. That said, it's not that I find the silicone tips on the Pro to actually be uncomfortable. It's just less comfortable overall if you made me choose. And to be quite honest, the silicone tips that are options that come with the Pros, I usually end up replacing those for some foam tips from some third parties because I find those even more comfortable. So as you're thinking about which might fit you the best, think about not just how it fits in your ears, but how they're going to work for you over long periods of use. You know, not just for 30 minutes, but maybe for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time. And for me, I think I definitely experience less ear fatigue with the regular AirPods, the third generation. Now let's talk a little bit about sound quality. Both of these come with adaptive EQ and spatial audio. So if you're somebody who likes that dynamic head tracking and you want frequencies to sound like they're supposed to, the sound is going to be good on both of these. Now that's kind of obvious because these aren't budget earphones, but what makes a big difference on the Pro side of things here is the seal that you get from those silicone tips. So the better the seal, the more you're sealing noise in and sealing outside noises out. This is different from just ANC, the active noise cancellation. We'll talk about that in a second. Then the better you're gonna be able to hear things. So the seal is what makes that custom built-in driver and amplifier that Apple talks about, the H2 chip, really matter more, really mean something. Because it's one thing to be able to have certain capabilities, but it's like that seal really accentuates that hi-fi sound. So I have both of these just laying around the house in the office, and I use them basically when one runs out of battery, I'll switch. You know, I kind of use them interchangeably, grab one, charge the other, and just because I happen to have them both around. And when I stick in the regular AirPods 3, then for me, things sound a little bit more airy and light, if that makes sense, because it lacks that silicone tipped seal. And guess what? It's gonna feel like a big bass boost when you have those silicone tips because of the seal. And that I would say is a night and day difference, the bass. If that matters to you, if you listen to real bassy music, even when it comes to vocals, you know, being able to capture that lower end, you really notice it if you're switching off between the two different models. And then there's the noise cancellation, the ANC. This is probably the big reason why somebody would want to upgrade to the Pro model. Now the normal model doesn't have ANC, but it does have some mesh to try to do some things like cut the breeze if you're out in a windy area, and that's kind of cool. So even without the ANC, you can sort of get rid of some outside noises in a way, but the Pros, of course, detect the noise that's going on outside of your ear and deploys some countermeasures, some anti-noise, so to speak. You could think of it like that. And while it doesn't perfectly actually cancel out every bit of noise that's happening outside of your ears, so if you're expecting perfection, you're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna hear some noises still, but it really makes a big noticeable difference. So for me, if I'm in a public environment, could be on a plane, could be at a coffee shop, wherever you are, and there's noises and people around, maybe some machinery in the background, and I'm trying to get some work done, then it makes a huge difference. I mean, like a night and day difference to have some noise cancellation to let me think a little bit better, to concentrate on whatever it is that's in front of me. So whereas the regular AirPods, I would say, are just all about convenience, they're really, really convenient. Where they really shine is just whenever you're by yourself and it's quiet. That's where regular AirPods really do their thing. The pros though, with the ANC, I consider to be lifesavers and part of my productivity setup. And of course, if you want to be more productive yourself, you can check out my productivity course designed specifically for Apple users to help you get more done in less time with less burnout. I'll link that up down below for you. And then there's the battery and the charging. Now they offer pretty similar battery life, but the pros do edge out the regular AirPods in terms of talk time. So if you're going to be using these for phone calls, for Zoom meetings, for instance, and you just want to squeeze out as much time as you can in between charges, maybe that's your workflow, you have a lot of meetings, well, then you might want to upgrade to the pros. And you can also wirelessly charge these. So my experience is that I end up almost exclusively charging wirelessly and usually overnight. The only reason I ever charge with the cable for either of these is if I'm about to go somewhere and I need a quick boost of juice. 5 minutes goes a long way if you must have your AirPods, even if it's not all the way topped off. So in terms of battery life and the charging, for me personally, it's really kind of a draw. What's not a draw though is the stem control. So both of these have some control that can be enabled by pressing or tapping, and in some cases swiping on the stems. The Pro obviously does more, and I get used to the Pro, and it's one of those things where you've used one, it's hard to go back to the other. So on the Pro, you can, yes, play and pause and skip, songs and tracks, but you can also turn up the volume with a swipe up or down, and that is a really big deal for me. On the regular AirPods, with that just basic pinching, pinch to play, pinch to pause, do some skipping, that's nice. It's better than having to mess around with the controls on your Apple Watch or Siri or your actual iPhone. But the volume's key to me. Being able to mute and unmute on calls, that's really a key thing. And then of course, being able to enable or disable the ANC, the noise cancellation, that's huge. So let's talk about price and value. There's a difference of about $70 here when there's no discounts in play. And sometimes there's a discount and it's just a no-brainer to pick up the more expensive pair, right? Now the AirPods Pro do have some features like the Find My Precision tracking that you're not gonna get on the entry-level model. And yes, the case comes with a lanyard loop, which honestly, I never ever use ever. And yes, there's a little speaker built in that plays alert tones if you do the Find My or you're getting low on battery. And I've actually found that to be a little bit annoying. Sometimes it chirps and it draws attention, and I don't really need that or want that. I haven't found that super useful. And conversational awareness, personalized volume, transparency mode. The pros do have a few other features that honestly, the things I just mentioned, I don't really use very often or at all, only on accident, sometimes like transparency mode. Those things haven't been huge upgrades for me. In fact, I forget about them most of the time. So the long and the short of it is, for me, if you're just looking for something that's really convenient and offers a lot of features for a better price, go with the third generations. You are gonna miss out on, obviously, the noise cancellation, so take that into account. How important is that? Where do you use these? Are you around other people and noise? And you're gonna miss out on that seal. You're gonna miss out on better bass for not just music, but things like vocals. It's a little bit more immersive sounding. So I hope that my personal experience here with these, using them for quite a bit off and on since they were released, gives you a little bit more context, helps you make a decision maybe about which you'd like to get. I didn't mention the case size because it's so negligible. I mean, they both fit in the pocket really nicely, so don't make that one of the big factors for you in your decision. But do check out the course if you want to get more done in less time in the Apple ecosystem with less burnout. There's a sale going on right now. It doesn't happen very often. You'll have to check out the coupon code to see what that sale is. You don't want to miss it. And I'll catch you in the next video. Later.